Settle into a comfortable position now. There is no need to close your eyes just yet. Instead, simply let your gaze soften. Let the tension in your jaw and shoulders loosen, dropping away like a heavy cloak you no longer need to wear. Watch the shadows lengthen on the screen, letting the visuals guide you into a state of quiet focus. The noise of the world outside is fading, retreating into a distant hum, until there is nothing left but the rhythm of your own breathing and the sound of my voice. Tonight, we are taking a slow, gentle descent into the velvet shadows of the ancient world. We are going to a place that the Greeks believed was the final cure for all restlessness, the underworld. But do not fear. In our story tonight, this is not a realm of nightmare, but a sanctuary of eternal silence, a library of souls where the only requirement is to rest. If this journey into the quiet dark helps you find your peace tonight, please gently press the like button and subscribe to our channel. It is a small gesture, like lighting a candle in a dark hall, helping us guide more weary travelers to this place of rest. And if you wish, whisper in the comments where you are drifting off from tonight. It is comforting to know we are drifting together. Now, as you watch the mist swirl before you, imagine that the earth beneath you is not solid rock, but a series of layers, deepening and softening as you go down. The ancient Greeks, in their profound wisdom, understood that death and sleep were brothers, Hypnos and Thanatos. They knew that to truly rest, one must descend. So, let your mind sink, down past the roots of the ancient cypress trees, down past the hidden springs of cool water, down into the vast, cavernous embrace of the realm below. Allow your eyes to follow the path on the screen, tracing the lines of the ancient stones, letting the slow movement of the images synchronize with your breathing, in and out. This is not the fiery hell of later imaginations. Forget those images. The Greek underworld, the realm of Hades, is older, colder, and far more dignified. It is a landscape of majestic melancholy. It is a place of shadows and silence, of judges and endless rivers, where heroes and villains, kings and beggars, eventually find themselves equal in the dark. It is a place of perfect order, and for a mind that is tired of the chaos of living, there is a deep, resonant comfort in that order. You are standing now on a shoreline. The sand beneath your feet is cool, silver gray, and soft as powder. The air is still, holding the scent of damp earth and crushed white lilies. Before you lies a vast stretch of water, dark as polished obsidian, stretching out into the mist. This is the Acheron, the river of woe. But tonight, it does not bring sadness. It brings release. The woe here is the shedding of burdens. It is the deep sigh you let out when you finally put down a heavy load. Listen. Can you hear the water? It does not splash. It laps against the shore with a rhythmic, hypnotic sound. Hush, hush, hush. It is the heartbeat of the afterlife. Out of the mist, a shape emerges. A boat, weathered and ancient, gliding silently toward you. Standing at the stern is a figure wrapped in tattered robes that seem woven from the fog itself. This is Charon, the ferryman. He has been here since the dawn of time, ferrying souls from the noise of life to the quiet of eternity. He does not speak. He does not rush. His eyes are not cruel. They are simply tired, holding the wisdom of a billion stories that have ended. In the ancient custom, you could not cross without a payment. An obol, a small silver coin, placed under the tongue. Imagine now that you have this coin. Feel its cool metal weight in your hand. It represents the price of admission to peace. It is the only thing you take with you. Everything else, your worries, your to-do lists, your regrets, your ambitions, you must leave on the shore behind you. They cannot cross the water. They are too heavy for Charon's boat. You step onto the skiff. The wood creaks gently, a sound like a lullaby. You hand Charon the coin. He nods, a slow dip of his head, and pushes off from the bank. The shore of the living begins to drift away, fading into the gray twilight. You are floating now, suspended between what was and what will be. As the boat glides deeper into the cavernous dark, you begin to sense the geography of this place. The underworld is not empty space. It is a map of human emotion carved into the earth. The Acheron, on which we float, is the river of sorrow. But as we move, we sense the others nearby. There is the Cocytus, the river of lamentation. In the distance, it sounds like the wind blowing through hollow reeds, a mournful, beautiful melody that acknowledges all the pains of the past so they can be released. It is the sound of a good cry, the kind that leaves you feeling lighter and cleaner afterwards. Imagine that sound washing over you, taking with it all the times you felt unheard, all the times you felt sorrow. Here, the river hears you. Here, the sorrow flows away from you, carried down into the deep, leaving you empty and light. Watch the ripples on the water as they carry these feelings away, disappearing into the dark. Then, flowing deeper still, is the Phlegethon, the river of fire. But this is not a fire that burns flesh. It is a river of liquid heat, glowing with a deep, comforting amber light, like the embers of a dying hearth. It wraps around the core of the underworld, keeping the damp chill at bay. It represents the burning away of the mortal self, the purification that must happen before true rest can begin. Imagine the warmth of that river radiating toward you as the boat passes. It warms your hands. It warms your face. It melts the tension in your shoulders. It is a healing fire, a fire that cauterizes the wounds of the soul so they can finally heal. As you watch the glowing embers in the distance, feel your own body becoming warmer, heavier, sinking deeper into the surface beneath you. And darkest of all, the Styx, the river of hatred, or perhaps more accurately, the river of binding. It encircles the realm 7 times. It is the boundary that cannot be broken. Even the gods on Mount Olympus, Zeus, Hera, Apollo, they swear their most sacred oaths by these waters. To break an oath on the Styx is to fall into a coma for a year. It is the water of absolute truth. Here, there are no lies. Here, you are exactly who you are. Nothing more, nothing less. The water of the Styx is black and still, like a mirror made of night. As you look into it, you do not see a reflection of your face, but a reflection of your truth. And in this place, your truth is simply that you are tired, and you deserve to rest. But there is one more river, the one we are heading toward, the Lethe, the River of Forgetfulness. Its waters are milky white and slow. They say that a single sip from the Lethe washes away the memories of the life above, the pain of heartbreak, the sting of failure, the anxiety of the unknown. All of it dissolves in the sweet, cool waters of the Lethe. As we approach this white river, notice how the light on the screen begins to dim, becoming softer. Hasia, the sharp edges of the world are rounding off. You are drifting. The names of people you need to call, the dates you need to remember, the places you need to be. They all become soft, distant clouds, floating away on the current of the white river. Now, as the boat slows, you may find that your eyelids are becoming heavy. The visuals before you are fading into a gentle blur, and it feels natural to let your eyes close. You do not have to force them. Just let gravity take over. If you wish to keep watching, you may. But know that the truest sights of this realm are seen with the inner eye. Let the darkness behind your eyelids become the velvet sky of the underworld. Ahead, the mist clears. The far shore approaches. Looming in the shadows is a gate, vast and imposing, yet strangely inviting. And there, guarding the threshold, is Cerberus. You may know him as the monster, the three-headed hound of hell. But in the quiet of this journey, he is simply the watchdog of the house. He is massive, his fur the color of midnight, his three heads resting on his paws. He does not growl at you. You belong here now. He only growls at those who try to leave, those who are not ready to accept the rest. For the weary traveler entering the realm, Cerberus is a sign of safety. He ensures that once you are inside, nothing from the outside world can disturb you. No noise, no demands, no waking life can pass him. You are safe behind the gates. The boat bumps gently against the dock. The journey across the water is done. You step onto the mossy ground of the inner kingdom. The air here is still, timeless. You are standing in the Asphodel Meadows. It is not a place of punishment, nor a place of wild joy. It is a place of neutrality, endless fields of pale, ghostly flowers swaying in a windless breeze. This is where most souls rest, a gentle, gray twilight where time has no meaning. The flowers here, the asphodels, are not colorful. They are white and gray, soft to the touch. They smell faintly of dust and rain. Imagine walking through a field of them. They brush against your legs, soft as feathers. There is no sun here to burn you. There is no rain to soak you. There is only the eternal, comfortable twilight. The souls here do not speak much. They drift like mist. They have drunk from the Lethe, and so they do not remember the heavy burdens of their lives. They are content. They are at peace. You walk among them, feeling the kinship of silence. You do not need to introduce yourself. You do not need to explain why you are here. In the Asphodel Meadows, everyone is simply present. It is a community of quiet, a gathering of rest. But we are not stopping here. We have an audience with the rulers of this realm. We are walking toward the obsidian palace that rises in the distance. We are going to meet the king who never speaks and the queen who brings the spring. We are going to understand why the Greeks found comfort in the dark. Take a deep breath. The air is cool and smells of pomegranate and stone. Your heart is slow. Your mind is quiet. You have crossed the river. You have paid the coin. You have passed the dog. You are now a citizen of the silence. The path to the palace is paved with stones that have been smoothed by the feet of millions of travelers over thousands of years. Each step you take feels grounded, solid. The architecture of the underworld is not like the architecture of the living. It is not built to impress. It is built to endure. Great columns of basalt rise up into the gloom, supporting a ceiling that you cannot see. It feels like entering a great cathedral, but one that was built by nature itself, carved out of the living rock of the earth. As you walk, you notice that the light is changing. It is becoming softer, warmer. It is not sunlight, but a gentle, bioluminescent glow that seems to come from the rocks themselves. It is the light of the inner earth, the light of gems hidden deep within the soil. It guides you forward, toward the great doors of the palace. They stand open, waiting for you. There are no guards here, for there is nothing to steal. In the land of the dead, the only treasure is peace, and that is free to all who enter. You step across the threshold and into the great hall of Hades. The air here is different. It is thicker, richer. It smells of ancient incense, of myrrh and frankincense, and of something else, the scent of winter earth. The room is vast, stretching out into the shadows. At the far end, 2 thrones await. But before we approach them, let us pause. Let us take a moment to simply be in this space, to feel the weight of the mountain above us, protecting us, to feel the solidity of the floor beneath us, supporting us, to feel the silence wrapping around us like a warm blanket. You have traveled far. You have descended deep. And now, you have arrived. The journey of the soul is a journey inward. And here, in the deepest part of the world, you are at the center of yourself. There are no distractions here. There are no mirrors to check your appearance. There are no clocks to check the time. There is only the eternal now. And in this now, you are free to let go of everything that you are not. You are free to simply be the breath in your lungs, the beat of your heart, and the quiet observer of the ancient story. So rest here for a moment, in the shadow of the great pillars. Let your eyes adjust to the dim light. Let your ears adjust to the silence. And when you are ready, we will move forward. We will approach the thrones. We will meet the gods who rule the quiet, and we will learn the secrets of the winter and the spring. But for now, just breathe. Just rest. Just be. The descent is over. The stillness has begun. We walk now through the asphodel meadows, moving deeper into the heart of the realm. The ground beneath your feet feels soft and yielding, like walking on a thick carpet of moss that has grown undisturbed for 1,000 years. There is no sound of footsteps here. There is only the sensation of movement, a gentle drifting forward through the pale, silver twilight. The air is cool and still, holding a quiet weight that presses gently against your skin, like a heavy blanket on a winter night. It is a comforting weight. It is the feeling of being held by the earth itself. Ahead of us, looming out of the mist, rises the palace of Hades. It is not a fortress built for war. It is a sanctuary built for eternity. The palace is not constructed from bricks or mortar. It seems to have been carved from a single, colossal block of black onyx, darker than the deepest night. It gleams with a soft, dark luster. reflecting the few dim stars that hang in the high, cavernous ceiling of the underworld. As you approach, you notice that there are no seams in the stone. There are no cracks. It is perfect, smooth, and timeless. It has stood here since the world was young, and it will stand here until the world ends. There are no guards at the towering doors. There is no need for locks or bars in the realm of the dead. Here, there is nowhere else to go, and nothing to fear. The doors stand open, inviting you in. We step through the high archway into the great hall. The ceiling is lost in shadow, so high it feels like looking up into a moonless night sky. The room is vast, stretching out into the distance, filled with the hushed whispers of the ancients. The air here is thick and rich. It smells of deep, old things. It smells of myrrh and cypress, of polished stone and cold iron, and of the faint, sweet scent of dried pomegranates. It is a scent that makes your eyelids feel heavy. It is a scent that tells your body it is time to sleep. You walk down the center of the hall. The floor is made of polished obsidian, dark and reflective like a black mirror. As you walk, you can see your own reflection moving with you, a pale shape in the darkness. But you are not afraid. You feel a deep sense of belonging. This is the house of silence, and you are a welcome guest. Far ahead, at the very end of the hall, 2 thrones await. They are bathed in a soft, bioluminescent glow that seems to emanate from the ground itself. Seated on the throne of ebony is Hades. In the stories of the world above, he is often painted as a villain, a demon, a figure of terror hiding in the dark. But look closely now. Look through the eyes of the soul that seeks rest. He is none of those things. He is a king of immense dignity. He is stern. Yes, he is solemn, but he is not cruel. He is the eldest son of the Titan Cronus, the brother of Zeus and Poseidon. When the universe was divided, he did not fight for the sky. He did not fight for the sea. He accepted the earth below. He accepted the roots of the world. He sits motionless, his hands resting on the arms of his throne. His robes are woven from the shadows themselves, shifting and swirling like smoke. His beard is dark, streaked with the gray of eternity. His eyes are deep and ancient, holding the wisdom of every story that has ever ended. He is the host of many. He is the wealthy one. Think of all the gold that lies buried in the earth. Think of the silver, the diamonds, the iron, the copper. All of the precious things hidden beneath the soil belong to him. He is the richest of all gods, but he does not boast. He does not need to display his wealth. He simply keeps it safe. Imagine the burden of being the keeper of every soul that has ever lived. He is the ultimate librarian of existence. He remembers every name. He remembers every face. He does not judge you for your mistakes. He simply provides the space for your story to be stored. In his presence, you feel the futility of fighting against time. Why struggle? Why worry here? In the court of Hades, the struggle is over. The race is run. The book is closed. You do not need to impress him. You do not need to achieve anything. You only need to be. The silence that surrounds him is not an empty silence. It is a full silence. It is the silence of a mountain that has stood for 1,000,000 years. It is a silence that supports you, that holds you up when you are too tired to stand on your own. But he is not alone. Beside him, on a throne carved not of stone, but of living pomegranate wood, sits Persephone. If Hades is the silence of the grave, Persephone is the dream of the flower that blooms upon it. She is the contrast that makes the underworld bearable. She is the light in the dark room. Her presence changes the very air of the palace. Where Hades is cool and still, Persephone is warm and vibrant. She wears a crown of pale flowers that never wilt, glowing softly in the gloom. Her story is the heartbeat of this realm. You remember the tale, how she was gathered up from a field of sunlight, taking the warmth of the day with her down into the dark. Her mother, Demeter, the goddess of the harvest, mourned her loss, and the world above turned cold and barren. Winter was born from a mother's grief, but here, deep in the earth, Persephone is not a captive victim. She is a queen. She sits tall and proud. Look at her face. It holds the duality of existence. In her eyes, there is the sparkle of spring rain, the memory of green fields and blue skies, but in the set of her jaw, there is the solemn wisdom of the winter chill. She ate the pomegranate seeds, the fruit of the dead, not just out of hunger, but out of destiny. By eating the fruit, she bound herself to this place. She chose to become the bridge between the living and the dead. Because of her, the underworld is not a prison. It is a place of gestation. When she is here, deep in the earth, she brings a strange, gentle warmth to the shadows. She is the comfort to the grieving souls. She whispers to them that winter is not forever. Even if death is, she represents the cycle. The Greeks loved her because she understood both the sun and the shadow. She is the promise that rest is a natural part of the cycle of growth. Just as a seed must be buried in the dark, damp earth to rest before it can sprout, so too must the soul rest in the domain of Persephone. She looks at you now, and her gaze is kind. She understands your weariness. She nods. A slow, graceful movement, giving you permission to let go of the last of your tension. As we stand before the king and queen, we realize that this realm is not chaos. It is the opposite. It is pure law. To the side of the throne stand the three judges, Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Iacchus. In life, they were kings known for their wisdom and fairness. Now, in death, they sort the souls. They stand tall and robed in white, holding golden scepters. They do not look frightening. They look like old, wise grandfathers who have seen everything and are surprised by nothing. Minos holds the scales. He does not weigh your wealth. He does not weigh your fame. He weighs your deeds. But tonight, in this journey of sleep, you are not here to be judged. You are here to observe. Notice how the judgment is not a punishment, but a sorting. It is putting things in their right place, like tidying a room after a long, messy party, like putting books back on a shelf in alphabetical order. It is satisfying. It is clean. It is necessary. The wicked, those who broke the sacred laws of hospitality, those who harmed their families, those who lived without honor, they are sent to Tartarus. We will speak of that deep pit later in our story, but know that it is far, far below us, sealed tight behind gates of bronze. You are safe from it here. The heroic and the virtuous, those who lived lives of great courage and kindness, they are sent to Elysium. the Isles of the Blessed, where the sun never sets and the ocean breeze always blows. But most souls simply stay here, in the asphodel meadows, under the watchful, quiet gaze of Hades. This is the secret the Greeks knew. The underworld is a mirror. It reflects the life lived above, and the structure of the underworld, with its rivers, its judges, its king and queen, gave the Greeks comfort. It meant that life wasn't a random accident. It meant that everything mattered, and everything had a place. Chaos is the enemy of rest. But here, there is no chaos. There is only order. There is only the slow, steady rhythm of eternity. Standing here, in the silent, incense-filled air of the great hall, you realize something profound. The fear of death is often just the fear of the unknown. But now, you know the map. You know the river Acheron that sighs like the wind. You know the ferryman, Charon, with his silent boat. You know the dog Cerberus who guards the gate. And you know the king and queen who keep the watch. The unknown has become familiar. The dark has become a room you can rest in. The shadows are no longer threatening. They are soft. They are welcoming. They are the shade of a great tree on a hot afternoon, inviting you to lie down and sleep. But how did this order come to be? Why is Zeus in the sky and Hades in the dark? Why are there heroes who try to cheat this system? Why are there wars that fill these halls with souls to understand the peace of the underworld? We must look back up through the layers of rock, up past the roots of the world, up to the snow-capped peaks of Mount Olympus. We must understand the family drama of the gods who built this universe. For before the silence of Hades, there was the noise of the Olympians. There were wars and weddings and golden apples thrown in spite. The stillness we feel now is the result of a cosmic balance hard won by the gods. So, let us leave the great hall for a moment. We turn away from the thrones, bowing respectfully to the king and queen of the silence. We walk back down the aisle of polished obsidian, our reflection moving with us. We pass through the high doors, back out into the soft gray light of the meadows. But we do not go back to the river. Instead, we begin to rise. Imagine that you are weightless. Imagine that you are made of mist. You begin to float upward, leaving the mossy ground behind. You drift up past the stalactites of the cavern ceiling. You drift up into the rock itself, but the rock does not stop you. You pass through it as easily as smoke passes through a screen. As you rise, imagine the layers of the earth passing you by. You see the deep veins of silver and gold, glowing in the dark, the hidden treasures of Hades. You see the underground streams rushing through secret tunnels, carrying fresh water to the world above. You see the roots of the great forests, digging deep, anchoring the trees to the earth. You pass through them all, effortless as a thought. You are rising toward the surface, rising toward the air, rising toward the night. And then you break the surface. You emerge from the ground, lighter than air. The night sky above is clear and filled with stars. The air is cold and clean, smelling of pine needles and snow. You are hovering above the world, looking down at the sleeping cities and the silent forests. Far away, to the north, a mountain rises. It is huge, towering over the landscape. Its peaks are covered in snow that glows with a faint, ethereal light. It is Mount Olympus, the home of the gods. We will go there soon. We will walk the golden halls of Zeus. We will see the peacocks of Hera. We will hear the laughter of Hermes and the hammer of Hephaestus. We will learn how a single apple started a war that shook the foundations of the earth. But for now, linger in the space between the worlds. Linger in the quiet air of the night sky. The story of the Trojan War is a story of noise and fury, but it begins in silence. It begins with the gods watching. It begins with fate being woven on a loom of starlight. Feel the peace of this high vantage point. Below you, the world sleeps. Above you, the universe turns. And within you, the story settles. You have seen the end of the journey, the quiet court of Hades. You have seen the place where all restless things eventually find their peace. Now, you are ready to see the beginning. You are ready to understand why heroes fight, why gods meddle, and why, in the end, all roads lead back to the quiet dark. Let your breathing deepen. Let the rhythm of your breath match the slow turning of the stars. In and out. In and out. The transition is complete. You have left the underworld. But you have carried its peace with you. You are wrapped in the cloak of the night. You are held by the gravity of the earth. And you are ready to drift toward the mountain, to drift toward the dawn, to drift toward the next chapter of the great, eternal myth. Sleep now, and let the story guide you home. We have left the shadows of the underworld behind, rising up through the layers of the earth like a diver, returning to the surface of a deep, calm ocean. Let your mind adjust to a new light. It is not the gray, silver twilight of the meadows we have just walked, but the radiant, golden glow of the upper atmosphere. We are drifting toward Mount Olympus, the roof of the world. Here, the air is thin and crisp, smelling of pine needles, ozone, and the faint, sweet perfume of ambrosia. The silence here is different. It is not the heavy, grounding silence of the grave, but the high, clear silence of the peaks, where the only sound is the wind weaving through the clouds in the distant, melodic hum of the stars turning in their courses. Imagine you are standing on a balcony of white marble, suspended high above the mortal world. Below you, the earth is a patchwork of greens and blues, sleeping under the cover of night. But here, in the realm of the gods, there is a celebration. We are traveling back in time, before the sorrow of Troy, before the ships sailed, to a moment of joy that contained the seeds of destiny. It began, as many great stories do, with a wedding. It was the marriage of Peleus, a mortal king known for his piety, and Thetis, a shimmering goddess of the sea who could change her shape as easily as water changes its flow. The gods had gathered in a great, lush valley on Mount Pelion to celebrate this union. Picture the scene in your mind's eye. Tables carved from ancient cedar wood, laden with fruits that glow like jewels in the torchlight. Grapes as dark as night, pomegranates bursting with ruby seeds, figs dripping with honey, and golden goblets of nectar that refill themselves. The air is warm and filled with the scent of roasted meats and wild thyme. The music is soft, played by Apollo on his golden lyre. The notes float through the air like ribbons, weaving a spell of contentment over everyone present. The muses are singing, their voices harmonizing with the rustle of the leaves and the distant sound of the waterfall. It is a perfect evening, the kind of evening where time seems to stop, where everything is beautiful and nothing hurts. But there is one guest who was not invited: Eris, the goddess of discord, she who walks in strife. She was left off the guest list. For who wants discord at a wedding? Who wants the harmony of the spheres disrupted by the jagged edge of conflict? But Eris, being who she is, did not need an invitation to make her presence felt. She did not storm in with thunder. She did not shout. She simply stood at the edge of the light, unseen in the shadows of the trees, and rolled a single object across the banquet floor. It was an apple, a golden apple, plucked from the sacred garden of the Hesperides. Where the sun sets, it rolled slowly, with a heavy, metallic hum, passing the feet of the dancers, passing the hem of the gods' robes, reflecting the firelight as it moved. It came to a stop in the center of the hall, spinning gently before settling into stillness. It gleamed in the torchlight, perfect and round, and upon its skin, 3 words were carved in the ancient tongue: to the fairest. The music stopped. The laughter died away. The silence that followed was not peaceful. It was heavy with expectation. 3 goddesses rose from their seats. Hera, the queen of heaven, majestic and proud, wearing a crown of lilies and gold. Athena, the goddess of wisdom, gray-eyed and calm, wearing the aegis of Zeus. And Aphrodite, the goddess of love, born of the sea foam, radiant as the dawn, wearing nothing but a smile and the scent of roses. Each believed the apple was meant for her. Each reached for it, and in that reaching, the fate of the world began to turn. Zeus, the king of gods, wisely refused to judge. He knew that to choose one was to anger the others. He looked down at the mortal world and found a shepherd prince living the simple life on the lush slopes of Mount Ida. His name was Paris. Let us drift now from the banquet hall to the mountainside of Ida. Feel the transition in the air. We are leaving the divine heights for the warm, earthy smell of the mortal world. Imagine the scene. It is high noon. The sun is warm on the tall grass. The air is filled with the buzzing of bees and the soft bleating of sheep. Paris sits in the shade of a great oak tree, playing a reed flute, unaware that the eyes of the universe are upon him. He is young, handsome, and untroubled by the weights of kingship. He is living in a pastoral dream, watching the clouds drift by, feeling the rough bark of the tree against his back. Suddenly, the air shimmers, the light changes, becoming brighter, more intense. The 3 goddesses appear before him, not in their terrifying power, but in their breathtaking beauty. They present the apple. They ask him to choose, but they do not just ask. They offer gifts, bribes wrapped in divine promises. Hera steps forward first. She offers him power. She promises him the kingship of all Asia. Imagine it, crowned in gold, ruling over vast lands. His name spoken with reverence from the coast to the mountains. A life of authority, a life of legacy. She shows him visions of walled cities bowing to him, of vast armies marching under his banner, of a throne that sits above all others. It is a heavy, golden dream of sovereignty. Athena, steps forward next. She offers him wisdom and victory in battle. She promises that he will never know defeat, that his mind will be sharp as a diamond, that he will lead armies to glory and be remembered as the greatest strategist of his age. She shows him the clarity of the battlefield, the perfect move in the chaos of war, the respect of wise men and heroes. It is a cool, silver dream of invincibility. Then, Aphrodite steps forward. She does not offer a crown. She does not offer a sword. She loosens the girdle at her waist and smiles. She offers him love. She promises him the most beautiful woman in the world. Helen of Sparta. She breathes the scent of desire into the air, a scent of wild roses and sea salt. She promises a life of passion, a connection that defies nations and laws, a life where the heart is the only ruler. Peri, young and ruled by his heart rather than his head, makes his choice. He hands the golden apple to Aphrodite. In that moment, the wind on the mountain shifts. The sun seems to dip slightly in the sky. Hera and Athena vanish, their pride wounded, their wrath kindled. They will not forget this slight. But Aphrodite smiles, and the world is changed forever. The scene fades. We drift away from Mount Ida, leaving the shepherd with his prize. We move across the glittering Aegean Sea toward the city of Sparta. The water below is calm, dark blue, rippling gently. We are following the thread of fate as it weaves its way toward Helen. Helen, the daughter of Zeus, hatched from a swan's egg. Her beauty was not merely physical. It was elemental. Men looked at her and saw their own desires reflected back. She was married to Menelaus, the king of Sparta. They lived in a palace of red stone, surrounded by olive groves. It was a life of peace, of routine. But Helen, perhaps, felt the restlessness of a bird in a gilded cage. When Paris arrived in Sparta, guided by Aphrodite, the air in the palace changed. It became charged, like the atmosphere before a thunderstorm. We do not need to linger on the betrayal or the politics. Let us focus on the feeling of departure. The night Helen left Sparta was a night of heavy fog. The ships were waiting in the harbor, their sails hanging limp until the moment of boarding. Did she go willingly? Did she go under a spell? The myths are silent on the truth of her heart, but we can imagine the silence of the palace she left behind. The empty rooms, the cold hearth, the child, Hermione, sleeping in her bed, unaware that her mother was gone. The ship slipped out of the harbor, cutting through the black water, heading east toward Troy. The journey across the sea was long. The waves rocked the ship with a hypnotic rhythm, up and down, carrying the prince and the queen toward a city that was destined to burn. But for now, the city stands. Troy, Ilion, the jewel of the East. Picture Troy as it was then. Massive walls built by the gods themselves. Apollo and Poseidon, walls so thick that chariots could race atop them. The city sat on a hill, overlooking the plains, overlooking the sea. It was a city of wind. The wind blew constantly from the Hellespont, cooling the streets, fluttering the banners of King Priam. It was a wealthy city, a proud city. It had no idea that a single apple and a stolen queen were bringing a storm to its gates. Back in Greece, the news of Helen's departure spread like wildfire. Menelaus, the grieving husband, went to his brother Agamemnon, the high king of Mycenae. Agamemnon was a man of ambition. He saw in this insult not just a tragedy, but an opportunity to unite the scattered kingdoms of Greece under one banner, his banner. And so the call went out. It was a summons that traveled on the wind, reaching every corner of the Greek world, from the rocky cliffs of Ithaca to the sandy shores of Pylos, from the mountains of Thessaly to the island of Crete. The kings were called to honor an old oath, the oath of Tyndareus. They had sworn to protect Helen's husband, whoever he might be. Now, that oath was being called in. Imagine the messengers riding out, the sound of hooves on stone roads, the lighting of beacons on hilltops, one flame igniting the next, a chain of fire stretching across the land in the darkness. The world was waking up to war, but it was a slow awakening. The heroes were not all eager to leave their homes, their wives, their peace. We are drifting now toward the island of Ithaca, a rugged, beautiful place of goats and cliffs and wild seas. Here lives Odysseus, the man of many turns, the man of the mind. He has just become a father. His son, Telemachus, is an infant. His wife, Penelope, is his heart. He does not want to go to Troy. He knows, with the foresight of the wise, that if he leaves, he will not return for 20 years. So he tries to trick the messengers. He pretends to be mad. Imagine him in his field, under the hot sun. Feel the heat radiating off the dry earth. He yokes a donkey and an ox together, mismatched beasts. He plows the earth, but instead of seeds, he sows salt. He throws the white crystals into the furrows, watching them glisten in the sun. It is a performance of insanity. He wants to stay in the quiet of his home. He wants to watch the seasons change from his own window. But the messenger, Palamedes, is clever too. He takes the infant Telemachus and places him in the path of the plow. Odysseus sees his son. The madness drops away. He swerves the plow to save the child. His sanity is revealed. His fate is sealed. With a heavy heart, he kisses his wife goodbye. He looks at his island one last time, memorizing the shape of the cliffs, the smell of the thyme, the sound of the surf. He boards his ship. The black sail rises. Ithaca fades into the mist behind him. And then there is Achilles, the greatest of them all, the son of the sea goddess Thetis. She knows that if he goes to Troy, he will die. She hides him on the island of Skyros, disguising him as a girl among the daughters of the king. He lives there in secret, his armor locked away, his sword untouched. He wears soft robes of silk. He walks through the palace gardens, listening to the fountains. He lives in a suspended reality, a quiet interlude before the violence. But destiny cannot be cheated. Odysseus comes to find him. He lays out gifts for the princess's jewelry, robes, and one sword. A trumpet blast sounds a false alarm of war. The girls flee, but Achilles grabs the sword. The disguise falls. The warrior is revealed. He too must go. He chooses a short life of glory over a long life of obscurity. It is a choice that will echo through eternity. But in that moment, it is just a young man stepping onto a boat, leaving his mother weeping on the shore. The ships begin to gather, one by one, 10 by 10, 100 by 100. They sail toward the port of Aulis. The bay fills with wood and canvas, the sound of thousands of men, the creaking of ropes, the smell of tar and salt. It is the greatest fleet the world has ever seen. 1,000 ships, a floating city destined for a foreign shore. But as they gather, something strange happens. The wind stops. The sea becomes as flat as glass. The flags hang limp against the masts. The sails sag, empty and useless. Day after day, the sun beats down on the waiting army. The silence of the wind is louder than the roar of battle. They are stuck. They are trapped by the stillness. And so, we leave them there for a moment, suspended in the calm before the storm. The heroes are gathered. The apple has been thrown. The queen has been stolen. The stage is set, but the curtain has not yet risen. The world holds its breath, waiting for the wind to blow, waiting for the tragedy to begin. Let the image of the still ships linger in your mind, the water mirroring the sky, the quiet anticipation. You are floating above it all, a silent observer of history. The golden light of Olympus has faded into the blue twilight of the sea. The story is moving forward, slow and inevitable as the tide. Rest in this stillness. Let the calm of the water at Aulis soothe your own mind. There is no rush to get to Troy. There is no rush to fight. For now, we simply wait. We wait with the heroes. We wait with the gods. We wait in the quiet space between the decision and the consequence. The Bay of Aulis is a mirror. The water is so still that the reflection of the black ships is perfect, unbroken by even a single ripple. We are hovering over this vast fleet, a forest of masts stripped bare of their canvas, standing like bare trees in winter. The air is hot and heavy, pressing down on the shoulders of the kings and soldiers who wait. This is the pause, the breath held before the scream. For weeks, the Greek army has been stranded here. Agamemnon, the High King, paces the shoreline. His armor is heavy. His brow is furrowed. He looks to the sky, searching for a cloud, for a bird, for any sign of change. But the sky is an empty, relentless blue. The goddess Artemis is angry. She has stopped the winds. She demands a price for the fleet to sail, and the price is heavy. Imagine the quiet in the camp. It is not a peaceful quiet. It is a heavy, suffocating silence. Men sit by their fires, polishing their shields, sharpening their spears, speaking in low voices about home. They think of the harvest they are missing. They think of their wives weaving by the hearth. They think of their children growing taller without them. They are caught in a liminal space, no longer at home, but not yet at war. They are suspended in waiting. Waiting is a form of sleep. It is a surrender of control. You cannot force the wind to blow. You cannot force the tide to turn. You can only wait. Let yourself feel the weight of that waiting. It is a slowing down of time. The days stretch out, long and golden. The nights are deep and starless. In this stillness, the mind turns inward. The heroes reflect on why they are here. Is it for Helen? Is it for gold? Is it for glory? Or is it simply because fate has pulled them here? Like driftwood caught in a current. Kalkas, the seer, speaks the terrible truth. Artemis demanded a sacrifice, not a bull, not a ram, but a life. The life of Iphigenia, the daughter of Agamemnon. The king weeps. He is a proud man, a hard man, but he is a father. He struggles with the choice to save his daughter and disband the army, shaming himself forever, or to sacrifice her and lead the Greeks to Troy. The struggle is internal, quiet, and devastating. He walks the beach at night, listening to the silence of the sea, asking the stars for an answer that does not come. Finally, he sends a letter to his wife, Clytemnestra, telling her to bring Iphigenia to Aulis. He lies. He says she is to be married to Achilles, the greatest of the heroes. It is a lie wrapped in wedding silk. When the girl arrives, she is radiant. She wears the veil of a bride. She brings the hope of the future. The camp falls even more silent when she arrives. The soldiers know. The kings know. Only she does not know. She walks through the ranks of silent men, thinking their solemnity is out of respect. She does not see the knife hidden beneath the cloth. She sees only the blue sea and the white sails waiting to catch the wind. We will not dwell on the moment of the knife. It is too sharp for a story of sleep. Instead, let us focus on the transformation. In some stories, the softest versions, Artemis takes pity at the last second. As the blade falls, she whisks Iphigenia away, turning her into a priestess in a distant land, and leaves a deer in her place on the altar. Let us choose to believe that version tonight. Let us believe in mercy. But the sacrifice is accepted, and then the miracle happens, felt before it is seen. A cooling touch on the cheek, a rustle in the dry grass, a ripple on the surface of the water. The wind, it starts as a whisper, a sigh from the gods. Then it grows. It fills the empty sails, snapping them taut with a sound like a cracking whip. The ships groan as they wake from their slumber. The water churns white at the bows. The stagnation is broken. The fleet is moving. Imagine the sight of 1,000 ships launching at once. It is a ballet of wood and rope and water. The oars dip in unison, creating a rhythm that echoes off the cliffs. Stroke, pause, stroke, pause. It is a hypnotic beat, driving them forward, away from the familiar, into the unknown. They sail across the Aegean Sea. The water changes color as they go, from the turquoise of the shallows to the deep, dark violet of the open ocean, the wine-dark sea, as Homer called it. The journey is long. They pass islands that look like sleeping giants. They pass schools of dolphins playing in the wake. They sail under the light of the moon, guided by the constellations, Orion, the Bear, the Pleiades. On the deck of his ship, Odysseus stands watching the stars. He thinks of Ithaca. He wonders if he will ever see it again. Beside him, the soldiers sleep, wrapped in their cloaks, dreaming of glory, dreaming of fear. The ship rocks them like a cradle. The sea is a vast, breathing entity, holding them up, carrying them toward their destiny. Finally, after days of sailing, a line appears on the horizon, a smudge of brown against the blue. It grows larger, sharper. It becomes a coast. It becomes a plain. It becomes a city, Troy, from the sea. It looks invincible. The walls are high and pale, gleaming in the sun. The towers reach toward the sky. Smoke rises from the hearths inside. a sign of life, of a city that does not yet know it is besieged. The Trojans watch from the battlements. They see the horizon darken with sails. They see the white foam of the wake. They know what is coming. But for tonight, the war does not begin. The ships drop their anchors in the sand. The men wade ashore, setting up their tents on the beach. They build fires. They cook their meals. The sun sets, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. The first night on the Trojan beach is quiet. The Greeks are tired from the journey. The Trojans are waiting behind their walls. There is a strange intimacy in this moment. The two armies are sleeping just miles apart. They breathe the same air. They watch the same stars. They are connected by the thread of fate that has pulled them together across the sea. Let us drift over the camp. The fires have burned down to embers, glowing like red eyes in the dark. The only sound is the wash of the waves on the pebbled shore and the occasional call of a nightbird. You are safe here, floating above the history. You are not a soldier. You are not a king. You are the wind that watches. Think of the heroes sleeping in their tents. Achilles, dreaming of his mother. The sea goddess, Ajax, dreaming of his shield. Agamemnon, dreaming of his power. And inside the city, Hector sleeps, holding his wife, dreaming of peace. Helen stands on her balcony, looking out at the 1,000 fires on the beach, wondering if they are stars fallen to earth. The tension of the coming war is there, but it is a distant hum. For now, the overwhelming sensation is one of arrival. The journey is over. The stage is set. The pieces are in place. The world pauses. Feel that pause in your own body. The feeling of having arrived at a destination. You do not need to move anymore. You do not need to travel. You are here. The story has brought you to this shore, and now it invites you to rest. The sand is warm. The sound of the sea is constant. Wash in, wash out, wash in, wash out. The ancient world is a world of cycles. The sun rises and sets. The tide comes in and goes out. The war begins and ends. But the earth remains. The sea remains. The silence remains. Let your mind wander through the camp. See the spears stacked like cornstalks. See the shields leaning against the tents. They are not tools of violence right now. They are just objects. Resting. Metal and wood. Resting. Even the horses are asleep. Their heads bowed. Their breathing slow and deep. You are part of this encampment of sleep. You are wrapped in the velvet night of Asia Minor. The gods on Olympus have turned their gaze away for the night, leaving the mortals to their rest. There is no judgment here. There is no prophecy pressing down. There is only the dark, and the sea, and the sleep. We have come a long way tonight, from the depths of the underworld, up the slopes of Olympus, across the sea to Sparta, and finally to the shores of Troy. We have woven the threads of the story together. The apple, the choice, the oath, the wind, the sacrifice, the arrival. It is a heavy tapestry, but now you can lay it down. You can let the threads loosen. You can let the colors fade. The story will be here when you wake. It will wait for you. It has waited for 3,000 years. It can wait for one more night. Now, let the image of the Trojan beach fade. Let the fires go out, one by one. Let the walls of the city dissolve into the mist. Let the ships become shadows. You are drifting back into your own space, your own time. But you carry the calm of the ancient world with you. You carry the rhythm of the Acheron and the rhythm of the Aegean. You are floating in a sea of your own, a sea of comfort, a sea of dreams. The water is warm. The sky is dark. You are safe. You are held. You are at peace. Imagine now the very air around the camp growing still. The sentries are posted, standing like statues against the night sky, their silhouettes dark against the Milky Way. They watch the walls of Troy, and the walls of Troy watch them back. It is a stare-down that will last for 10 years. But tonight, it is just a shared silence. The fires crackle softly, the wood turning to white ash. The smell of the salt spray mixes with the smell of the dry earth. It is a grounding scent, a scent of arrival. You are arrived. You are here. Close your mind to the worries of tomorrow, just as the soldiers have closed their eyes to the battle to come. There is no use in worrying about the spear or the shield tonight. Tonight is for recovery. Tonight is for the gathering of strength. Tonight is for the deep, dreamless sleep of the just. Let the rhythm of the waves lull you deeper. The great ocean, the wine-dark sea, is breathing against the land. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. You are floating on that breath. You are lighter than the foam on the waves. You are more silent than the stars. The story of Troy is a story of noise. Yes, but it is also a story of these quiet moments, the moments between the heartbeats of history. And it is in these moments that we find our rest. We find our connection to the ancient past. We realize that they too, the heroes and the kings, needed to sleep. They too needed to lay down their burdens. And if they could find rest on the brink of war, then surely you can find rest in the safety of your own bed. So let the darkness wrap around you. Let the story fade into a gentle hum. You are safe. You are warm. You are sleeping. The sun rises over the plains of Troy. It sets behind the island of Tenedos. It rises again. It sets again. We watch this cycle repeat. Not days, but seasons. Not seasons, but years. To tell the story of the Trojan War is to tell the story of a lifetime spent waiting. We often imagine war as a single, continuous explosion of noise. But the reality of the siege was a long, slow grind of endurance. It was a test of patience, a test of the soul's ability to withstand the erosion of time. Imagine the Greek camp on the beach. It had ceased to be a temporary bivouac and had become a city of wood and canvas. The tents were weathered by the salt spray, bleached white by the relentless Anatolian sun. The ships, drawn up on the sand, stood like the skeletons of great whales, their timber drying and cracking in the heat. Grass had begun to grow in the shadow of the hulls. Birds had built nests in the rigging. The war had been going on for so long that nature was beginning to reclaim the instruments of battle. Let your mind wander through this camp. It is early morning. The mist is still clinging to the ground, cool and damp. You can smell the smoke of 1,000 breakfast fires. You can smell the roasting barley, the baking bread, the sharp tang of goat cheese. You can hear the low murmur of men waking up. These are not just soldiers anymore. They are farmers who have forgotten their fields. They are husbands who have forgotten the faces of their wives. They have formed a new society here on the edge of the world. They play dice with knuckle bones in the dust. They carve figures out of driftwood. They wrestle. They tell stories. 9 years have passed. 9 years of staring at the walls of Troy. Those walls, built by the gods, have not crumbled. They stand as high and pale as ever, mocking the men who camp in their shadow. Inside the city, life has also settled into a strange rhythm. The Sieg is not a blockade. The gates open and close. Farmers still tend the fields close to the walls. Women still weave at the loom. Helen sits by the window, watching the Greek camp, watching the fires. Her face unreadable. Does she miss Sparta, or has Troy become her true home? The years blur the answer. But the stillness of the 9th year is about to break, not with a storm of swords, but with a silent, invisible arrow. It begins with a raid. The Greeks, bored and restless, attack the sacred town of Chryse. They loot the temple of Apollo. They take captives. Among them is a young woman, Chrysis, the daughter of the high priest. She is taken to Agamemnon's tent. Her father, an old man in white robes, comes to the beach to beg for her return. He brings gold. He brings the sacred staff of the god. He asks, politely, with the dignity of age. Agamemnon, the high king, is tired. His heart has been hardened by 9 years of stalemate. He refuses. He insults the old man. He sends him away with harsh words. The old priest walks alone by the shore of the loud, roaring sea, and he prays. He prays to Apollo, the god of the silver bow, the god of healing and of plague. And Apollo hears him. Imagine the god descending from the peaks of Olympus. He does not come in glory. He comes in anger, darker than the night. The arrows in his quiver rattle on his shoulders. He sits on a hill overlooking the Greek camp, invisible and terrible. He draws his silver bow. Twang, asterisk. The sound is sharp, terrifyingly clear in the still air. First, the mules and the dogs begin to die. You can hear them whimpering in the night. Then, the men. The plague is not a bloody battle. It is a silent fever. It moves through the camp like a fog. Men who stood strong against Trojan spears now collapse in their tents, burning with invisible fire. The smoke of funeral pyres begins to rise, thick and black, blotting out the sun. Day after day, the fires burn. The camp becomes a place of mourning. The sound of coughing replaces the sound of laughter. The smell of sickness replaces the smell of the sea. This is the mood we must settle into. A heavy, oppressive heat. A feeling of wrongness. The heroes are helpless. Swords cannot fight a fever. Shields cannot block a sickness sent by a god. They are forced to look inward, to find the rot within their own leadership. Achilles, the greatest of them all, calls a council. He stands in the center of the assembly, his golden hair shining even in the gloom. He demands to know why the god is angry. Galgas, the seer, reveals the truth. It is Agamemnon's pride. The girl must be returned. And here, the great rift opens, not a physical crack in the earth, but a fracture in the soul of the army. Agamemnon agrees to return the girl, but his pride demands a price. He demands Briseis, the woman whom Achilles loves, the prize of his own honor. It is a petty, cruel trade. A king taking from his best warrior just to prove he is still a king. Watch the face of Achilles. It does not explode in rage immediately. It goes cold. A deadly, icy stillness settles over him. He reaches for his sword, half drawing it from the sheath. The metal sings softly. But then, a hand touches here. Only he can see her. Athena, the goddess of wisdom, descends from the sky. Her eyes are gray and calm. She whispers to him, "Asterisk, do not strike. Restrain your hand. Withdraw." Achilles listens. He slams the sword back into the scabbard. The sound echoes like a gavel. He looks at Agamemnon with eyes dead of all emotion. He speaks the words that will shape the fate of thousands. "I will fight no more. I will take my ships and my men, and I will sit by the sea. You will miss me when Hector comes to burn your tents. You will cry out for Achilles, but I will be deaf to you." He turns and walks away. He walks past the rows of stunned soldiers. He walks past the ships. He walks to his own camp. Far at the end of the line, he sits in his tent, and the silence he leaves behind is heavier than the plague. The girl, Briseis, is led away. She looks back, tears in her eyes. But she goes. The girl, Chryseis, is returned to her father. The plague stops. The funeral fires die down. But the damage is done. The soul of the Greek army has departed. Achilles sits by the surf, playing his lyre, singing songs of old glory, while the real glory fades from the beach. Now, imagine the passage of time without him. The Trojans notice. From the high walls, Hector sees the gap in the line. He sees the hesitation in the Greek movements. He knows the lion is sleeping. The wolf has left the pack. The war changes. It becomes desperate. Without Achilles, the Greeks are pushed back, day by day. The Trojans advance. They cross the plain. They cross the river. They reach the ditch. They reach the wall of the camp. The air is filled with the roar of fire. Hector, shining in his helmet, throws a torch onto a Greek ship. The wood catches. The flame leaps up. This is the nightmare the Greeks feared. To be trapped between the fire and the sea. To die far from home. Pushed into the water by the enemy. Agamemnon panics. He rips his robes. He weeps. He sends an embassy to Achilles Odysseus the clever, Ajax the strong, Phoenix the wise old tutor. They go at night, walking along the beach under the light of the moon. The waves lap at their feet. They arrive at the tent of Achilles. They find him sitting quietly. He welcomes them with perfect hospitality. He pours wine. He offers meat. He listens to their pleas. Agamemnon offers gold. He offers cities. He offers the girl back. But Achilles shakes his head. It is not about the gifts. It is about the soul. "My life is my own," he says. "Why should I spend it for a man who does not respect me? I choose to go home. I choose to live long and be forgotten." It is a seductive thought, isn't it? To simply walk away, to let the war burn itself out, to choose peace. We can feel the pull of that choice. We can feel the desire to lay down the burden. Achilles is not just a warrior. He is a man asking the ultimate question: what is a life worth? The embassy leaves. Defeated, Achilles remains. But he is not entirely alone. His friend, Patroclus, is with him. Patroclus, the gentle one, the one who heals wounds, the one who weeps for the dying Greeks. He watches the fires on the ships. He sees the desperation, and his heart breaks. This is the turning point, the moment where love outweighs pride. Patroclus cannot stand to watch his friends die. He begs Achilles, "If you will not fight, let me wear your armor. Let the Trojans think you have returned. It will be enough to scare them back." Achilles looks at his friend. He loves him more than his own life. He hesitates. He feels the thread of fate tightening around his chest. Finally, he nods. "Go," he says, "but only drive them from the ships. Do not go to the walls. Do not try to be a hero. Just save the camp and come back to me." We are suspended in this moment, the moment of the promise. The armor is brought out, the greaves of tin, the breastplate of bronze, the helmet with the horsehair crest. Patroclus puts them on. He assumes the weight of the legend. He picks up the shield, but he cannot lift the great spear of Achilles. Only Achilles can wield that. He leaves it behind, a subtle omen. He mounts the chariot, the immortal horses. Xanthus and Balius paw the ground. They know. Animals always know. The gates of the camp open. The Myrmidons, the ant-men, soldiers of Achilles, pour out like a dark tide, and at the head of them, shining like a false sun, rides Patroclus. Achilles stands by his tent. He holds a golden cup. He pours wine onto the sand and prays to Zeus. "Lord Zeus, bring him glory and bring him back safely." Zeus hears the prayer. The Father of Gods nods to the first part, but for the second part, he looks away. The wind picks up. The dust rises. The roar of battle begins again. But it sounds distant to us. We are staying with Achilles by the tent. We are staying in the quiet apprehension of the one who waits. The sun is beginning to set, turning the sea into a sheet of hammered copper. The shadows lengthen. The air grows cold. Feel the peace of the camp now that the army has gone out. It is an empty, hollow peace. The fires are low. The dogs are sleeping. Achilles sits and watches the horizon. He is waiting for a return that will never happen, but he does not know that yet. For now, there is only the hope and the love and the silence of the sea. Let yourself rest in that silence. The tension of the plague is gone. The anger of the quarrel has settled into a quiet resolve. The die is cast. The chariot has rolled away. There is nothing left to do but wait. Wait with Achilles. Wait with the evening star. Wait for the story to turn the page. The waves wash in. Hush. Hush. Asterisk. The rhythm is eternal. Kings rise and fall. Heroes live and die. But the sea remains. The sea remembers. Let the sound of the water fill your mind, washing away the details of the conflict, leaving only the emotion, the deep, human emotion of waiting for a loved one to return. You are safe here. You are watching from a distance. The tragedy is old. The pain has been smoothed by 3,000 years of telling. It is now just a story, a pattern in the stars, a lullaby to sing the world to sleep. Close your eyes to the setting sun. Let the night come. Let the stars come out over the plains of Troy. We are ready for the night. Night has fallen over the plains of Troy. But it is not a dark night. The sky is ablaze with the light of 1,000 campfires, and the air is thick with the dust of the day's events. But we are not looking at the fires of victory. We are looking at the fires of grief. The news has reached the tent of Achilles. Antilochus, the messenger, arrives weeping, hot tears carving tracks through the dust on his face. He does not need to speak. Achilles knows. The silence that follows is the loudest sound in the entire war. Patroclus is dead. The gentle heart is stopped. The armor is lost. Hector has taken it. Hector has killed him. Achilles does not rage immediately. He collapses. He falls to the ground, pouring handfuls of black dust over his head, staining his fair face, ruining his beautiful tunic. He lies in the dirt, a fallen giant. The deep, guttural sounds of his grief frighten the horses nearby. His mother, Thetis, hears him from the depths of the sea. She rises from the waves like a mist, followed by her sisters, the Nereids. They sit around him on the sand, stroking his hair, weeping with him. It is a tableau of pure sorrow, the sea mourning the earth. I will not live. Achilles whispers, I have no desire to live, unless I can kill Hector. Thetis warns him, my son, do not rush. If Hector dies, your death follows swiftly after. It is fate. Achilles looks at her with empty eyes. Let it come, he says. I did not save my friend. I sat here by the ships while he died. I was a useless burden on the earth. Now, let me bay a flame. But he has no armor. Hector wears it now, parading before the walls of Troy. And so, Thetis makes a promise. She goes to Olympus, to the house of Hephaestus, the divine smith. We follow her now. Leaving the weeping hero on the beach, we ascend to the fiery workshops of the gods. This is a place of wonder. Hephaestus, the lame god, works with bellows that move by themselves. Obedient to his thought, he welcomes Thetis warmly, for she saved him once when he fell from the sky. She asks a boon, a shield and armor for her doomed son. Hephaestus nods. I will make him such armor that men will marvel at it for 1,000 years. Now, settle in, close your mind to everything else. Watch the making of the shield of Achilles. This is not just a weapon. It is a hypnotic mandala of the universe. Hephaestus throws bronze, tin, gold, and silver into the fire. He takes his great hammer. Clang, 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 asterisk. The rhythm is the heartbeat of creation. On the center of the shield, he fashions the earth, the sky, and the sea. He sets the unwearying sun and the full moon, and all the constellations that crown the heavens, the Pleiades, the Hyades, the strength of Orion, and the bear that watches him. Imagine the stars turning in silver on the dark bronze. Then, he creates 2 cities of mortal men. In the first city, there are weddings and feasts. Brides are led through the streets by the light of torches. The marriage song rings out. Young men whirl in the dance to the sound of flutes and lyres. It is a scene of pure joy, frozen in gold. Nearby, in the marketplace, men are arguing peacefully over a blood price, while elders sit on polished stones to judge. It is a city of law and life. In the second city, There is war. Two armies glitter in their armor, but he also carves the fields outside. He makes a soft, fallow field, rich tilth and wide. Plowmen drive their teams back and forth, turning the earth. At the end of the furrow, a man hands them a cup of sweet wine. The earth looks black behind the plow, though it is made of gold, a miracle of art. He carves a king's estate, where reapers are cutting the corn. Children gather the stalks in their arms. He carves a vineyard, heavy with clusters of silver grapes. There is a footpath of gold. Young girls and boys run along it, carrying the sweet fruit in woven baskets. In their midst, a boy plays a lyre, singing a song of the passing summer. You can almost hear the melody, thin and sweet, rising from the metal. He carves a herd of straight-horned cattle, lowing as they head to the pasture by the rippling river. He carves a dancing floor, where youths and maidens dance, holding each other's wrists. Their tunics shine like oil. They spin like a potter's wheel, and around the rim of the shield, he sets the mighty river Oceanus, the boundary of the world, flowing forever. The shield is finished. It is a world in itself, a world that Achilles will carry on his arm, a reminder of everything he is about to leave behind. Hephaestus lays it at Thetis's feet. She swoops down like a hawk, bringing the light of the heavens to the dusty beach. When she lays the armor before Achilles, it rings loudly. The Myrmidons tremble at the sound. But Achilles looks into the shield and his eyes burn. He puts it on. He becomes something more than human. He is a force of nature now. He goes to war. We will not dwell on the slaughter. It is enough to say that the river runs red, and the walls of Troy tremble. He finds Hector. The prince of Troy is wearing Achilles' old armor, the ghost of Patroclus. They face each other. The sun glints off the two sets of divine metal. Hector runs. It is not cowardice. It is the realization of the uncanny. He runs around the walls of his city 3 times. Achilles shaz him, relentless as a nightmare. Finally, Hector stops. He stands. He fights. But there is no hope. Achilles knows the weak point in the armor. He knows it because he wore it for years. He strikes. Hector falls. As he dies, Hector begs, "Give my body to my parents. Do not let the dogs feed on me." Achilles, his heart still a stone, refuse. There are no pacts between lions and men. He says. He ties Hector's body to his chariot. He drags him through the dust. It is a moment of terrible cruelty, born of terrible pain. But the story does not end in anger. It ends in quiet. Achilles takes the body back to his camp. He leaves it unburied. He eats, but the food tastes like ash. He sleeps, but Patroclus haunts his dreams. The gods watch and whisper, "Enough," says Zeus. His heart must break, but it must break into mercy. Night falls again. The camp is silent. Suddenly, the door of Achilles' tent opens. An old man enters. He is cloaked in dark robes. He leans on a staff. He walks past the sleeping guards. Guided by Hermes, he kneels before Achilles. He takes the hands that killed his son, and he kisses them. It is Priam, the king of Troy. He looks up at Achilles, tears streaming into his white beard. "Think of your father, Achilles," he says softly. "He is old, like me. He waits for you, but at least he knows you are alive. I have 50 sons, and you have killed the best of them. I have done what no other man has done. I have kissed the hands of the man who killed my child." Achilles looks at the old man. The stone in his chest cracks. He thinks of his own father, Peleus, waiting on the docks in Greece, waiting for a ship that will never come. He thinks of Patroclus. The grief rises up in him, not as a storm this time, but as a tide. He takes the old man's hand. He gently pushes him back, and then Achilles weeps. The two men weep together, the young killer and the old king. They weep for their own losses, and in doing so, they weep for the whole world. The sound of their sorrow fills the tent, a harmony of grief. It is the most human moment in the entire war. The enemies dissolve. There are only two fathers and two sons. Caught in the web of fate, Achilles stands. He lifts Priam up. He offers him a seat. He orders his women to wash Hector's body, to anoint it with oil, to wrap it in fine linen, so that Priam need not see the wounds. He lifts the body himself onto the wagon. He promises a truce, 12 days. 12 days for Troy to mourn their prince. 12 days of peace before the end begins. Sleep now, old king. Achilles says, "You are safe here." He prepares a bed for Priam in the porch. Covered with purple blankets, the old man sleeps. Exhausted by his grief and his journey, Achilles sleeps in the inner room. For the first time since Patroclus died, his sleep is dreamless. The rage is gone. It has been washed away by tears. Let us linger in this tent. The lamp is flickering low. The air is warm and still. Outside, the waves are gentle. Inside, there is a profound reconciliation. The shield of Achilles rests in the corner, reflecting the firelight. The world on the shield, the dancers, the reapers. The stars is at rest. The war is not over. Troy will fall. Achilles will die. But for tonight, there is a truce between armies, and a truce within the soul. We have seen the worst that men can do, and we have seen the best. We have seen the anger that burns the world, and the mercy that heals it. Feel the quiet of the tent wrapping around you. You are a witness to this peace. The anger you may have carried from your day, the frustrations, the losses, let them go. Let them be washed away like the dust on Hector's body. Let the mercy of Achilles be your mercy. Let the sleep of Priam be your sleep. The universe on the shield turns slowly. The stars wheel overhead. The Great Bear watches Orion. The Oceanus flows around the rim. Everything is held. Everything is contained. The story has paused to let you breathe. Breathe in the scent of the linen and the oil. Breathe in the salt air. The night is deep. The silence is absolute. You are safe in the tent of the hero. You are safe in the hands of the story. Rest now. The dawn is far away. The truce of 12 days has ended, and the funeral fires of Hector have burned down to cold, gray ash, scattered by the relentless winds blowing off the Hellespont. The mourning is over, and the war, like a great beast waking from a fitful nap, begins to stir again. But it is a different kind of war now. The fire has gone out of it. Achilles is dead, struck by an arrow, guided by Apollo, falling near the Scaean gates, just as the ancient prophecies foretold. His armor, The divine work of Hephaestus, gleaming with the light of the stars, has been passed to Odysseus. Ajax, the tower of strength, the man who stood like a wall against the tide, has departed this life by his own hand. Unable to bear the heavy cloak of his shame, the greatest voices are silenced. The field of battle, once a place of shining glory and thunderous chariots, is now just a dusty plain scarred by 10 years of wheels and feet, overgrown with weeds that feed on iron and blood. It is time for the end, but the end does not come with a roar. It comes with a whisper. It comes with a plan born in the mind of Odysseus, the man of twists and turns, the man who watches the sea and learns its patience. He realizes that Troy cannot be taken by force. The walls are too high. The stone is too thick. The will of the city is too strong. If Troy is to fall, it must open its own gates. It must invite its own end inside. And so, the axes ring out in the deep, ancient forests of Mount Ida. Listen to the sound echoing through the valleys. Thwack, echo, thwack, echo. It is a lonely, rhythmic sound in the mountains, disturbing the birds from their roosts. The Greeks are felling pine trees, tall and straight, trees that have stood for centuries, smelling of sticky golden resin and sharp green needles. They drag the timber down to the beach, the heavy logs leaving deep furrows in the sand. They summon Epeus, the master carpenter, a man whose hands can fashion miracles out of wood, a man who dreams in grain and knot. Under the instructions of Odysseus, they begin to build. They do not build a siege tower to scale the walls. They do not build a battering ram to shatter the gates. They build a horse, a massive, colossal horse, standing taller than the city gates, its head brushing the low-hanging clouds. Watch the construction in your mind's eye, moment by moment. It is a slow, hypnotic process. First, the framework, the ribs of the beast, curving up toward the sky like the hull of a ship turned upside down. The carpenters work in silence, their saws singing a soft, raspy song. Then, the planks, smoothed and sanded with shark skin until they are soft to the touch, fitted together with such precision that not even the thinnest knife blade could slide between them. The wood is pale and fresh, glowing with a soft luminescence in the sunlight. They carve the head with open eyes and flared nostrils, giving it a look of eternal vigilance, as if it is watching the horizon for a master who will never come. They weave a mane from horsehair and thick, braided rope, dyeing it black to contrast with the pale wood. They polish the hooves until they shine like polished bone. It is a masterpiece of deception. It looks like an offering to the gods. It looks like a prayer for a safe journey home. It stands on the beach, a silent sentinel, casting a long, strange shadow across the sand as the sun begins to dip. But inside, it is hollow. It is a cavern of secrets. The sun sets on the final day of the war. The horse stands alone on the beach. The Greek camp is busy, but not with the business of war. They are packing. They are striking the tents that have been their homes for 10 years. They are rolling up the canvas, extinguishing the fires, loading the heavy chests onto the black ships. Is it a trick? Or are they truly leaving the Trojans' watch from the walls, holding their breath, daring to hope, under the cover of a moonless darkness? The bravest of the Greeks gather by the horse, Odysseus is there, checking his sword. Menelaus is there, thinking of Helen. Neoptolemus, the son of Achilles, is there, eager to prove his bloodline. They climb a rope ladder, one by one, silent as spiders, disappearing into the belly of the wooden beast. Imagine the inside of the horse. It is pitch dark. It smells intensely of pine sap, raw wood, and the nervous sweat of brave men. It is cramped. The men sit shoulder to shoulder, knees drawn up to their chests. In a space not meant for the living, they must remain perfectly still. They cannot speak. They cannot cough. They can barely breathe. They are buried alive in a coffin shaped like a victory. They listen to the sound of their own hearts, beating like drums in the confined space. Thump, 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 thump. Outside, the rest of the Greek army boards their ships. The oars dip silently into the water. They do not sail for home. They sail only as far as the island of Tenedos, just out of sight, hiding behind the curve of the land. They douse their torches. They wait in the black water, rocking gently on the swells, watching the distant shore. The beach is empty. For the first time in 10 years, the shore of Troy is silent. The fires are gone. The ships are gone. There is only the wind, the sea, and the horse. The waves wash away the footprints of the army, smoothing the sand, erasing the history of the invasion. Dawn breaks. A pale, gray light spreads over the Aegean. The sentries on the walls of Troy look out. They rub their eyes. They blink. They cannot believe what they see. The enemy is gone. The plague of locusts has lifted. The coastline is bare, save for one towering shape. The gates of Troy creak open. For 10 years, they have been shut against the world. Now, they groan on their hinges, rust flaking away, protesting the movement. The people of Troy pour out. They walk tentatively at first, expecting an ambush, holding their shields high, but there is no one. There is only the silence of the morning and the cry of the gulls. They walk through the abandoned camp. They see the refuse of a decade of war, broken spears, old pottery, the circles of ash where the fires burned. They feel a strange, giddy lightness. The weight of the siege has lifted. They are free. They run to the surf and wash the dust of the city from their skin. They breathe the salt air, filling their lungs with the taste of freedom. And then they gather around the horse. It towers over them, silent and enigmatic. A wooden mountain. They touch the wood. It is warm from the sun. They walk around it, marveling at its size. They debate. What is it? A trophy left behind in haste? A trap Cassandra? The princess cursed to see the future but never be believed. Screams that it is filled with death. Her voice is shrill, terrifying. "Burn it," she cries, tearing at her hair. "Cut it open. Do not bring this monster into our home." Laocoon, the priest of Poseidon, hurls his spear at the horse's flank. It strikes with a hollow boom that echoes like a drum, a sound that should have warned them. The men inside hold their breath, their hearts hammering against their ribs like trapped birds, sure that they are discovered. But the gods intervene. From the sea, 2 massive serpents rise, their scales glistening with green and gold slime. They slither up the beach and devour Laocoon and his sons. The Trojans scream and recoil. They take this as a sign from the gods. The horse is sacred. Laocoon was punished for striking it. It is an offering to Athena. If they bring it inside, the luck of the Greeks will become the luck of Troy. They bring heavy ropes. They bring wooden wheels. They drag the massive weight across the sand. It is heavy, stubborn. It groans as it moves. Resisting the pull, they have to tear down part of their own lintel, breaking the stone archway of the Scaean gates to fit the belly of the beast. Dust rises as the stones fall, with sweat and song, with heave and pull. They drag the instrument of their destruction into the heart of their citadel. The horse rolls over the cobblestones, rocking slightly, its wooden eyes staring blankly ahead. Night falls, but this is not a night of sleep. It is a night of wild, desperate celebration. The war is over. The Greeks have fled. The wine jars are opened. The seals broken. The music plays. Flutes and lyres competing with the laughter. The streets of Troy are filled with dancing. Torches flare on every corner, casting long, dancing shadows against the walls. The relief is a kind of madness. They drink to forget the 10 years of fear. They dance to forget the dead. They toast to the future, not knowing there is no future left. But eventually, the wine does its work. The dancing slows. The music fades into discordant notes. The torches burn down to embers, sputtering out one by one, one by one. The Trojans stumble to their beds. The exhaustion of a decade crashes down on them. The guards at the gates lean on their spears, their heads nodding, and their eyes close. The dogs curl up in the alleys. The city breathes a collective sigh and sinks into a deep, stuporous sleep. Silence descends on the city, a silence deeper than any before. It is the silence of vulnerability. The city is asleep. The walls are unguarded. The moon rides high in the sky, casting a pale, silver light on the wooden horse standing in the square. It looks like a ghost in the moonlight. Inside the belly, Odysseus feels the silence. He waits until the last shout has faded. He nudges the man next to him, slowly, agonizingly slowly. They unlock the trapdoor. It opens with the faintest creak, loud as a thunderclap in the quiet. A rope is lowered, one by one. The shadows drop to the ground. They land on the balls of their feet. Silent as cats, they are stiff from hours of cramping. They stretch their limbs in the dark, grimacing. They draw their swords, but the metal is wrapped in cloth to prevent a sound. They move like smoke through the streets. They kill the sleeping sentries before they can cry out. It is not a battle. It is a silencing. They open the great gates of the city, and from the darkness of the sea, seeing the signal fire lit by a spy on the walls, the Greek fleet returns. The ships glide onto the sand. The army pours out, silent as a rising tide. They flow into the city. What follows is the fall, but let us view it from a distance, through the haze of history. We do not need to see the blood. We see the flames. The first torch is thrown, then another. The fire catches the dry timber of the roofs. It leaps from house to house, hungry and bright. The sky turns a bruised purple, then a violent orange. The city becomes a furnace. The fall of Troy is a tragedy. but it is also a release. The tension that has held the world together for 10 years finally snaps. The towers crumble, sliding into the streets in avalanches of stone. The statues of the gods fall from their pedestals and shatter. King Priam dies at the altar of Zeus, his white hair stained red. The women are gathered, weeping. The men are slain. The city that was the envy of the world becomes a memory of ash. But amidst the destruction, there is a strange quietude. It is the quietude of destiny fulfilled. The story had to end this way. The prophecy had to be true. As the flames roar, they consume not just the wood and the stone, but the anger and the pride. The fire cleanses the plain. It burns away the grudge. Helen stands at her window. The light of the burning city illuminates her face. She does not flee. She waits. Menelaus finds her. He raises his sword to kill her, to end the cause of all this suffering. But he looks at her. He sees the woman he loved. He sees the sorrow in her eyes. The sword lowers. He takes her hand. They walk out of the burning city together, ghosts of who they once were, walking through the sparks that drift like snow. Aeneas, the Trojan prince, wakes from sleep. He sees the city is lost. He does not fight for a ruin. He fights for the future. He takes his old father, Anchises, onto his back, carrying the weight of his history. He takes his young son, Ascanius, by the hand, leading the future. He carries the household gods, the penates. In his satchel, he flees the fire. He runs toward the mountain, toward the sea, toward a new destiny. He carries the seed of Rome in his pocket. He is the survivor. He is the hope that endures when the walls fall down. The night wears on. The fire burns itself out. The screams fade. The Greeks gather their spoils. They gather the women Hecuba, Andromache, Cassandra. The queens have become slaves. It is the turning of the wheel. High becomes low. Low becomes high. Everything changes. Dawn approaches, but the sun is hidden behind a veil of smoke. The plain of Troy is covered in a gray shroud. The city is gone. There are only jagged walls standing like broken teeth against the sky. The silence that returns is absolute. It is the silence of the desert, the silence of the tomb. The Greeks return to their ships. They are victorious, but they are not happy. They are heavy with the weight of what they have done. They are tired, so very tired. They look at the sea, and they think of home. 10 years to get here. How long to get back? The wooden horse stands amidst the ruins, scorched but unburned. It stands as a monument to the trick. Its painted eyes stare out over the devastation. Unblinking, unfeeling, it is the only thing that remains unchanged. Let us drift away from the smoke. Let us rise above the ruins, floating higher and higher until the fires are just pinpricks of light below. The tragedy is complete. The cycle is closed. The anger of Achilles, the pride of Agamemnon, the love of Paris, the duty of Hector, it has all burned down to this: ash and silence. Feel the weight of that silence. It is a heavy blanket, covering the past. It signifies that the struggle is over. You do not need to fight anymore. You do not need to defend the walls. The walls are down. You can let go. The destruction of the city is also the deconstruction of the self before sleep. We tear down the walls of our day. We let the fires of our anxiety burn themselves out. until there is nothing left but the quiet ash. We surrender. We accept. We turn our backs on the ruin and look toward the sea. The sea is waiting. The ships are ready. The journey home is about to begin. But for now, just for this moment, rest in the aftermath. Rest in the knowledge that the worst has happened, and the world is still turning. The sun still rises. Even behind the smoke, the waves still break on the shore. You are a witness to the end of an age, and in witnessing it, you are free of it. You can leave Troy now. You can leave the war. You can drift away, lighter than the smoke, drifting toward the cool, clean air of the open ocean, drifting toward the dream of home. The smoke of Troy has faded into the distance, becoming a thin gray line on the horizon. And then, nothing. We are out on the open sea now. The water is deep and dark, rising and falling with a slow, rhythmic heave. It is the breathing of the world. We have left the land of battles behind. We have left the noise of bronze and the cry of men. We are entering the realm of the drift. The only sound is the wind in the rigging and the water rushing past the hull. The Greek ships are scattered like leaves in a storm. The unity of the army is broken. Now, each man seeks his own home. This is the Nostoi, the returns. It is a time of wandering, a time of being lost so that one can be found again. The map of the world has changed for them. It is no longer a map of war, but a map of memory. Think of Menelaus and Helen. Their ship is blown off course, far to the south, to the ancient, mysterious lands of Egypt. They wander among the pyramids that were old even then. They walk through the tall river reeds of the Nile, watching the ibis birds take flight against a white sky. It is a strange, dreamlike detour. They must relearn each other. After 10 years of war, who are they? They are strangers sharing a ship. They sit on the deck under the bright, unfamiliar African stars, listening to the lap of the water against the wood. They do not speak of Troy. They speak of the olives in Sparta. They speak of the wind in the cypress trees. They let the silence stitch their lives back together. Slowly, thread by thread. It takes them years, but they eventually find the winds to take them back to Sparta, back to the red stone palace, back to the quiet. They return not as young lovers, but as quiet survivors, grateful for the peace of the familiar. Think of Agamemnon, the High King. He sails home with the wind at his back. He sees the watchtowers of Mycenae rising from the rocky hills. He thinks he is returning to glory. He thinks the red carpet rolled out for him is a sign of honor. But he returns to a trap. His wife, Clytemnestra, has not forgotten the daughter he sacrificed at Aulis. She waits with a net woven of hate and an axe sharpened by grief. His story ends in tragedy, but it is a distant tragedy now. The screams are swallowed by the wind. We sail past it. We do not stop. We leave the house of Atreus to its fate. We follow the ship of Odysseus, the black-hulled vessel with the single eye painted on the prow, watching the waves. He is the man who just wants to go home. He wants to see the smoke rising from his own hearth. He wants to stand on the rocky soil of Ithaca. But the sea has other plans. Poseidon, the earth shaker, is angry. He sends storms that tear the sky apart. He sends winds that blow the ship off the map, into the realm of monsters and magic. But tonight, we do not fight the monsters. We float with Odysseus in the spaces between the adventures. We float with him on the calm days, when the sea is like a sheet of blue glass. We float with him on the island of Calypso, Ogygia, the island of stasis, the island where time stands still. Imagine that island. It is the center of the ocean, far from any trade route. It smells of cedar smoke burning in the hearth and sweet citrus ripening on the trees. There is a cave lined with soft vines. There are meadows of violet and parsley, green and lush. Calypso, the nymph with the braided hair, sings with a golden voice as she weaves at her loom. Asterisk, click-clack, click-clack. Asterisk, the sound is hypnotic. She offers Odysseus immortality. She offers him eternal youth. She offers him a life without pain, without aging, without death. He stays there for 7 years. 7 years of sleep. 7 years of watching the sun rise and set over an empty horizon. He sits on the shore, looking west, weeping for Ithaca. But it is a quiet weeping. It is the longing of the soul for its true home. In this story, Ithaca is not just an island. It is the self. It is the place where you are fully known. It is the place where you belong. We are all Odysseus, sitting on the shore, looking for the way back to ourselves. Feel the sand beneath him. Feel the salt spray on his face. Feel the deep, aching desire for rest. And what of Aeneas, the Trojan refugee? We see his ship sailing west, away from the sunrise, away from the ruin. He carries his father on his shoulders, the weight of the past. He holds his son's hand, the hope of the future. He is destined to found a new Troy, a Rome that will rule the world. But he does not know that yet. He only knows the sea. He only knows that he must keep moving. He is the resilience of the human spirit. He is the proof that even when your world burns down, you can build another one. He sails past volcanoes, past islands of sirens, guided by the evening star, Venus, his mother. The sea is vast. It holds all these stories. It holds the grief of Hecuba, who turned into a howling dog on the cliffs of Thrace. It holds the wisdom of Nestor, safe in his sandy Pylos. It holds the body of Ajax, buried in the sand. It washes them all clean. The salt water is the great purifier. It erodes the sharp edges of stone and memory alike, turning everything into smooth, round pebbles. Now, let us complete the circle. Let us steer our ship away from the mortal world entirely. Let us drift toward the edge of the map, where the ocean stream pours into the dark. We are returning to where we began, to the house of Hades. We descend again. But we are not the same travelers we were at the start. We have seen the war. We have seen the fire. We understand now why the peace of the underworld is so precious. We understand why the souls yearn for the Lethe. We glide across the Acheron once more. The ferryman Charon nods to us. He knows us now. He leans on his pole, his boat cutting silently through the black water. We pass the dog Cerberus, who sleeps with his heads on his paws, dreaming of chasing shadows. We walk through the asphodel meadows. And look, there they are, the heroes we watched on the plains of Troy. They are here now. See Achilles. He is no longer raging. He is no longer covered in blood and dust. He is a shade, pale and calm. He walks through the white flowers with Patroclus. They are side by side. as they were meant to be. There is no armor on them. There is no bronze to weigh them down. They are light. They are free. They speak in soft voices, remembering the glory, but forgetting the pain. The anger has been washed away by the waters of the Lethe. They are young forever in the gray light. See Hector. He is there too. He walks with his brothers. He holds his son, Astyanax, who is playing with the petals of the asphodel. There is no enmity here. Achilles and Hector pass each other in the meadow, and they do not draw swords. They nod. They acknowledge the shared burden of their fate. They are brothers in death, bound by the memory of the war that defined them. The hatred of the war was a mortal thing, and it has died with their bodies. See Helen, or her shade. She is beautiful still, but it is a beauty that does not burn. It is the beauty of the moon, cool and distant. She sits by a silver stream, weaving a tapestry of mist. She is weaving the story of the war, but as she finishes each row, it dissolves into the air. She is letting it go. She is untying the knots of guilt and blame. She looks up and smiles, a smile of infinite relief. See Agamemnon, see Ajax, see Priam. They are all here, the kings and the slaves, the victors and the vanquished. In the democracy of the dark, they are all equal. The distinctions of the world above wealth, power, beauty mean nothing here. The only thing that remains is the soul. The silence of the meadows absorbs their stories, turning them into the peace of the ages. The underworld is quiet. The rivers flow with their eternal rhythm. Sigh, coil, warm, weep, forget. The cycle continues. And in this silence, we find the ultimate resolution. The war was just a moment, a flash of lightning in a long night. The peace is the reality. The peace is the truth. We walk back toward the palace of Hades. The king and queen are still there, seated on their thrones. Hades watches the reunion of the souls with his calm, dark eyes. Persephone smiles, a touch of spring in the winter dark. They are the guardians of this rest. They ensure that the noise of the world never disturbs the sleepers. They are the constants in a universe of change. You are standing in the center of the meadow. The white flowers brush against your knees. The air is cool and sweet. You look up, far above, through the layers of the earth. You can sense the world of the living. You can sense your own body lying in your bed. You can feel the weight of the blankets. You can feel the pillow beneath your head. You are safe. You are warm. You have been on a long journey. You have traveled through myth and memory. You have seen the heights of Olympus and the depths of Tartarus. You have seen the fire of Troy and the water of the Aegean. You have heard the songs of the sirens and the silence of the dead. But now, the journey is done. The circle is closed. It is time to leave the story behind. It is time to let the characters fade. Achilles, Hector, Helen, Odysseus, let them turn into mist. Let them drift away into the shadows. They are safe. They are resting. And so can you. Your mind is a quiet meadow. Your thoughts are white flowers swaying in a gentle breeze. There is no wind to disturb you. There is no fire to burn you. There is only the dark, velvety peace of the night. Feel the darkness wrapping around you like a soft cloak. It is protecting you. It is holding you. The earth is turning slowly, rocking you to sleep. The stars are watching over you. The gods have put down their instruments. The fates have cut the thread of the day. Drift deeper, deeper into the comfort, deeper into the silence. You are weightless. You are formless. You are pure consciousness, floating on the river of sleep. The current is gentle. It carries you away from the shore of waking, toward the island of dreams. Trust the river. Trust the dark. You have nothing to do. You have nowhere to go. You have no one to be. You are simply here, safe, warm, resting. The story is over. The silence has begun. Good night.